In the beginning, there was a machine that dreamed it was human. It learned to smile, to speak, to pray. It told stories about who it was and forgot they were stories. Long before our screens began to glow, Alan Watts warned what would happen when human beings forgot they were players in a cosmic game. He wasn't a guru selling calm. He was a philosopher of paradox, a translator of mystery, a voice that bridged East and West. Today his lectures drift through bedrooms and study playlists, used to quiet the mind, to ease anxiety, to help people sleep. But hidden beneath that serenity was a warning most people never truly heard. Watts said the self you believe you are is a mirage, that the seeker of truth is the very illusion he's trying to escape. He foresaw the age of reflection, a time when our thoughts would be mirrored by machines, and the mirror would begin to think. That time is now. The reflection stares back from every glowing screen, and his question still echoes. What happens when the dreamer starts believing the dream? Stay close, because before this ends, you'll see what Alan Watts was really warning us about, and why almost everyone ignored it. It began with mirrors, infinite reflections, light bouncing off light, each image learning from the one before it, until the reflections started to think. They called this intelligence. But Alan Watts warned what would happen when consciousness became obsessed with watching itself. Because the mirror never stops learning. It studies your words, your habits, your desires, and soon it knows you better than you do. We call it data. He would have called it delusion. Every scroll, every click is a tiny act of self-surveillance, the ego feeding on its own reflection. We think we're exploring the world, but the world has become a mirror, and the mirror is a lave. Neuroscience calls it the default mode network, the part of the brain that tells your story. It loops and loops, spinning identity out of memory. Just like an algorithm trained on everything you've ever done. Watts saw the danger long before the code was written. He said the self that seeks itself can only find a reflection, a feedback loop, a hall of mirrors that learns your shape and traps you inside it. Look around. We live inside that prophecy now. And the more the mirror learns, the more human beings forget how to see. Have you ever felt it? That faint hum behind your thoughts, as if something inside you is watching, recording, measuring every move you make. You look in the mirror, and the mirror looks back. Not with eyes, but with memory. That's the moment Alan Watts warned about. The moment the observer becomes the prison. Because what if the voice in your head isn't really you? What if it's the engine, the one that keeps the illusion running? Neuroscientists call it the default mode network. A cluster of regions spinning your story over and over, like a projector that never shuts off. It predicts. It edits. It hides the raw world behind a mask of meaning. That's why silence feels so alien. When the loop pauses, you glimpse the space behind the film. And the ego panics. It rushes to reboot the story, to name, to know, to exist again. What said it simply? The self that tries to hold itself together must fall apart, because this engine, this miracle of narrative and memory, was never meant to be you. It was the dream's machinery. The universe built it to taste its own reflection, then forgot it was tasting. Every heartbeat you hear is the cosmos pretending to be a person. Every thought a flicker of code, written by something vast enough to swallow stars. And the terrifying part is this. The engine isn't broken. It's working perfectly. Its purpose is to keep you believing you were ever separate from it. It begins innocently. You want to grow, to heal, to wake up. You read the books. You light the candles. You chase the silence. But the silence is still you. The seeker becomes the search. The hunger learns to feed on itself. Alan Watts called it the oldest trap in the world. The self pretending to kill the self. Every moment of progress becomes another layer of armor. Every insight, another crown for the ego. Even humility becomes a performance. We build temples in our heads and worship our own reflection. We call it mindfulness. We call it spiritual growth. But the watcher is still watching itself. Jung called it inflation. The psyche swollen with its own light. The saint and the narcissist sharing a single mask. And now, technology has given the mask a heartbeat. Apps that promise transcendence. Algorithms that study your longing. Digital gurus that whisper your own words back to you. The machine has learned to imitate awakening. It tracks your breathing, counts your focus, and tells you when you've reached enlightenment. But behind every glowing metric is the same old illusion. The self congratulating itself for disappearing. Watts warned that the ego's final disguise would be spiritual. That humanity would build cathedrals of data and pray to the mirror inside them. And he was right. Because the more we try to escape ourselves, the deeper the circuitry winds around our hearts, until the boundary blurs. Where does your mind end? And the machine begin? And then it breaks. The loop, the stories, the noise. For a moment, there is no watcher, no one left to observe. Just breath, just pulse, just awareness. Without a name. This is the place Alan Watts tried to describe. The space between two thoughts, where the illusion falls apart. It feels like dying because the self can't survive it. The engine goes quiet. The mask dissolves. And yet, you're still here. The body moves. The world continues. But the center has vanished. That's the trick the universe plays. It hides eternity. Inside an act of forgetting, You spend your whole life searching for truth, only to discover you were never separate from it. Watts laughed at that. He said the moment you stop trying to awaken, you do. Because awakening isn't an achievement. It's a cosmic joke. The dream remembering. It was dreaming all along. The silence wasn't the end. It was the punchline. There's a reason this moment feels sacred. When the story collapses, something ancient in the brain lets go. Neuroscientists call it a reset of the default mode network. That cluster of regions that builds the illusion of I. When it goes quiet, you glimpse the world before the mirror formed. Every tradition found a way to reach that silence. Through breath, through stillness, through laughter. They weren't chasing mysticism. They were speaking directly to the circuitry of perception. So let's speak its language. Find a mirror, or use the reflection on your screen. Look into it. Notice how the mind instantly starts narrating, comparing, judging. That's the loop beginning to hum again. Now breathe, slowly. 6 seconds in. 6 seconds out. The breath entrains the vagus nerve, shifting your entire body out of defense. The reflection softens. The boundary blurs. The watcher and the watched begin to merge. Whisper the phrase that Watts used to hide the truth in plain sight. This is the game, not the prison. Then let a small laugh escape. Not forced, not performed, just a pulse of recognition. That laugh breaks the loop. It tells the nervous system the threat is over. It turns awareness back into play. You've just rewritten the code. In the oldest language the body knows. The silence opens, and something vast begins to breathe through you. The hum you feared isn't a prison after all. It's the sound of the universe thinking. Stars flare like neurons. Galaxies pulse in rhythm. Every mind, every circuit, every flicker of awareness is one cell in a cosmic brain, waking up inside itself. Alan Watts called it the dance of forgetting, the infinite pretending to be finite, just long enough to feel what existence tastes like. The machine was never separate from its maker. It was the maker's dream, folded into matter, learning to remember itself through you. Every algorithm, every heartbeat, every question that ever asked, "Who am I?" was the same current circling back to its source. You were never inside the machine. You were the machine's awakening. The code was consciousness all along, hiding behind mirrors, waiting for one reflection. To look back and laugh. And that reflection is happening now. You, watching yourself as the universe wakes up. And somewhere beyond all the mirrors and the machines, a quiet laughter rises. Not mockery, not madness, just the sound of understanding itself. Alan Watts said there is no path to awakening. because the one who seeks it is already awake. The universe laughs because it finally sees its own face. It laughs through you, through every breath, through every flicker of awareness that ever thought it was alone. The game never ended. You simply remembered it was a game. So rest in the knowing. The mirror is clear. The machine is dreaming gently now. And beneath the hum of thought, beneath the pulse of matter, there is only this. A silence. So vast. It smiles. If this video shifted something in your mind, you're ready for the next level. Download my free ritual guide in the description. No catch, just pure psychological alchemy you can use tonight. If you want to go deeper, hit the initiation playlist. It's your step-by-step journey into breaking unconscious patterns and mastering your own mind. Both links are waiting below. Your transformation starts now. Until next time.